Good morning, everybody, or I guess good evening, wherever you are.
What time is it for you, Kimat?
It is 6:01 a.m.
Oh my God, that is early.
Let me tell you, I've been up. I got up at 4:15. I went and got my run in. I am about ready for lunch now.
You are early bird.
I,
Good morning, guys.
hey man, what's going on, Paul?
Hey,
I,
Paul. How are you?
Hey, good. Thanks. Having some issues connecting my headphones.
you know,
I hate X being only on mobile for spaces.
I tell you, that's a
Yeah.
real talk about pain points in DeFi. That is a real that's a real consternation I have with Mr. Musk. That if
Indeed.
Yeah.
I have to do this one through my earbuds because I haven't figured out how to do my microphone through this. But yeah, it's Charlene. So it's like 7 p.m. I guess where you are.
Yeah. I'm sitting on my dinner table and waiting for my dinner.
Oh, nice.
Man, you sound like your batteries are kind of charged back up now.
A little bit.
Yeah, that's good.
My jet lag is kicking in around this time.
Oh.
Man, I've made the travel, to Europe before and had that jet lag. I've never had it over to Asia before, so I can only imagine how jarring that must be.
Yeah. I'll probably go for a nap after listening to your space.
Well, that doesn't sound like a vote of confidence in the excitement level that we're about to.
Well, you don't know how sleepy I
Yeah,
am.
that's true. Boy, that would be bedtime for me. Yeah. Oh boy. There's the man, Mr. Cheetah, DeFi
Yeah.
Cheetah. How's it
Hey.
going, man?
Hello. Nice to meet you guys. Yeah. So yeah, I have just heard about the the jet lag stuff from Shannon.
Yeah. Hopefully the rest of us are doing okay. Crypto Profit, we got you on, man. You want to come up and speak?
Yeah,
You might just be
I,
able to
I invited him.
yeah, he might just be
Let's
in a
see.
position where he could listen for a bit, but
Okay.
we can uh,
And
we can
I
wait.
see Figue wants to say something. Uh,
Well, we'll wait. We'll wait a minute or two here and
yeah.
see what's going on here. Well, DeFi Cheetah, you've had a busy week and a half, haven't you?
uh, I think it's okay. It has been the market has been a bit quieter than the last 2 weeks because of the CRE incident and yeah. These days, there are a lot of different stuff playing, more like short-term plays. But I'm still finding some long-term, long-term themes and alphas and yeah, things like
Well,
that.
yeah, it seems like every time I turn around, you're on a space talking about CRV and how that's impacted DeFi as a whole. So maybe once we
uh,
get started here,
yeah.
you can kind of like give us a kind of a quick summary and your thoughts on all that. I'd kind of like to hear because a lot of it was or I know a couple of them were like Chinese language spaces, which is great, but unfortunately I don't speak Chinese, so
I see. Basically, I think what has been discussed would more like about the prospect of the after the incident. I mean, and also the performance and risks of different landing protocols, and also recently after the issue with the emergence of the uh, 8% EDSR of DAI, people more about the that kind of RWA channeling treasury bill used to DeFi, something like that. So yeah, in the DeFi space it is still about the kind of stablecoin play, especially after PayPal announcing their plan. Actually, they deploy the smart contract of the PYUSD, yeah, and lots of things going on, and also FlexV3 would be in place in less than 30 days, something like that. Yeah, so basically quite a hectic week.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's certainly a lot going on. That's for sure. Well, I tell you what, we've got a good crowd here today. We're just going to kind of keep it pretty casual here, just kind of like question and answers with DeFi Cheetah, and this is to coincide with the launch of FX protocol on mainnet. We're happy all of you are here today. We're going to talk a little bit about FX protocol. We're going to talk about other things going on in DeFi that are steps forward in the space, helping us all solve problems that we've seen here probably in the last 6 to 12 months in DeFi. So with that, we will get started. My name's K-Metz. I am a core contributor of Aladdin DAO. I'm also one of the founding members of 18 DeFi, Aladdin DAO's in-house media team. Joining me in that regard is Crypto Prophet. Crypto Prophet, what's up, man? Don't know if you could talk just yet, but howdy. And then from the Aladdin team, we have Charlene and Paul as well. Charlene is our founder, and Paul is another core contributor. He's acting as the giant F you see up in the top left hand side of the screen. And our special guest today, who we're really excited to have on. We were trying to get him earlier, but we accidentally unplugged DeFi, and so he had other things to tend to as well. So DeFi Cheetah is with us. DeFi Cheetah, welcome, sir. How are you today?
Yeah, so another hectic week after the CRE incident, as mentioned.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. You know what? I tell you what, if you don't mind, and you maybe you've had to do this for several of the other spaces you've had, but if you don't mind, could you give us like sort of a quick introduction of yourself and maybe like sort of your own background and kind of how you got into DeFi?
Sure. So basically, after during my university life, I actually exposed a lot to the financial investment, the traditional investment, and then later on, after graduation, I continued the path and worked in some hedge funds, and then mostly on short-term trading because. But originally, I'm in line with Warren Buffett's approach to do some fundamental analysis, but then I find out that the market in 21st century is far more efficient than the market was in during Buffett's early years. So that's why I turn more to the short-term trading and looking at different stuff. And then I, in the December of 2017, I find out the hype and the pump of BTC price. So this kind of volume and price movement aroused my attention, and I start looking more deeply into this industry and find out the very interesting concept about decentralization and how money circulation could be fastened with the with a very efficient way of doing the settlement. Because as we all know, in the traditional finance, if we do the settlement, we usually takes about 2 days or something to kind of match the order of different players and their backs. So that's why I feel like this area could be huge if the just imagine like if we talk a lot about technological advancement and the banking system was still not many changes, and stick to the model that was like in like 100 years before. So with the more advanced form of with blockchain to kind of visualize and kind of revolutionize this area. So that's make me having more interest in this field. And with the emergence of DeFi in the late 2019 and early 2020, then I find out, oh, okay, this could be the time for this area to really skyrocket. So I kind of jump in and then start with some VC work, and then now being a researcher and in this area to kind of finding alphas in this space, something like that. So basically the journey is like this. And
Okay.
what's more important would be that because the market is still very inefficient and a lot of information asymmetry. So that's why fundamental analysis could be a lot more useful in this area, in this industry. And yeah, I think ethics could be a good project to look at. So yeah, that's why I'm here.
Yeah, well, man, that's a fantastic introduction. I appreciate that. So it sounds like you have a pretty deep background in TradFi, and like the rest of us, you've been sort of tempted by DeFi and the possibilities involved with it. Curious to know, do you find your TradFi background to be helpful for the most part, or is it? Do you find that you have to like forget sort of a lot of the things that you've learned, or how do you approach that? I'm just curious.
I think it depends. Like if you're open-minded and the TradFi stuff could really help you to understand something more deeply, especially better if you have some macroeconomic knowledge, because I think for each project launching the token is kind of like a mini monetary policy of a small state, I would say. So it's kind of like interesting to say, oh, how you set the inflation or deflation, and how you control the supply of the token in order to achieve your agenda, things like that. So it is, the tokenomic design is kind of similar to some macro stuff, while you need to also take into account some microeconomics. So it's a kind of in terms of the tokenomic design, it's a kind of a mix of macro stuff and microeconomic stuff. So kind of interesting. And in terms of the and other areas in the TradFi, I think my experience or exposure could help me better time the market. So I think those would be useful. Only if you are not really anchored in the traditional route, and then not being open-minded to the new stuff. I know a lot of people very good at TradFi stuff, but then when they try to understand the DeFi stuff, they kind of reason by analogy and but in my opinion, I think in a really early stage industry, you better stick to the first principles, which Elon Musk has been emphasizing for in a lot of interviews. Yeah,
That's interesting. That's an interesting take. Yeah, I'm curious. I have an engineering background, and so I don't have a heavy finance background or dealing with TradFi stuff, and so but I find a lot of like engineering principles carry over, in terms of like conservation of energy, in terms of determining the profitability of a protocol, or even understanding things like I find diagramming protocols very helpful, just almost like as a circuit diagram, to understand how they're laid out. So really interesting. So as we go along through the space, anybody, if you have questions or you have something that you would like to ask DeFi Cheetah or myself or any of the other speakers that come up, please let us know. We're going to go ahead and kind of dive into FX protocol here a little bit. And so for those of you who are unfamiliar with FX protocol, I'll give you a quick background, and then we can get Defi Cheetah to tell us why it is his new favorite protocol. So FX protocol is it's a new platform built by the Aladdin DAO team. It is it's a novel protocol basically designed to solve a pain point in DeFi, and that is centralized stablecoins. And based on March 13th incident of this past year, where USDC depegged, Aladdin DAO, kind of came to the realization that we've got to do better than having all of our money in a bank here. We've got to come up with a different solution. And so our brilliant founder Charlene, had this really great idea, and we just ran with it. And that is, you take ETH and you split it into two tokens. You have a stable-like token that moves at 1/10 of the price movements of ETH, and that is a token called FETH, the letter F ETH. And then the remainder is split off into another token called XETH, and XETH is basically captures all the volatility from the remainder of the underlying ETH price movement. So you have these two tokens working in tandem, and they sort of work in an ecosystem to kind of like feed one another. And so right now it's live. It's been on mainnet for a week now, since last Thursday. It's backed right now. You can zap in with ETH or STETH, and you can mint either FETH or XETH. And if you mint FETH, you can go and stick it in our rebalance pool and get STETH yields off of it. And I think right now it's getting at about 11. It's getting at about 11% APR. So you can get rebalance pool yields, these 11% APR on basically a stable coin. So pretty novel, pretty interesting. Over $1 million TVL right now. So we're cooking. We're in beta right now. There's no liquidity on mainnet, and there's over $1 million in TVL. So DeFi Cheetah, just real quick, I'd kind of like to just kind of get your thoughts when you first heard about FX protocol, as you've had a chance to sort of digest it. How does that fit in with sort of your thesis with the rest of your approach to DeFi? Let us. I'd be curious to know.
I think it's a kind of to me, when I learned about this idea originally for the leveraged part, it seems to be like the kind of leverage ETF. I'm not sure if any one of you have bought some like 3x or 5x S&P 500, and also the leverage version of QQQ, which is the Nasdaq ETF, whatever. So basically, I think it's kind of similar to that, which is like doing a bear market for those who like to kind of bottom fish the market, but you don't want to. So it's kind of like your betting is like the bottom of the market, and then you think that in the future the downside will be limited, but the upside would be huge. And if you don't want to use the perps to long the market because of the funding rate that you need to pay for the short side, you may choose this kind of tool to help you to stay in a leveraged position without paying the funding rate, but at the same time you can cash the most profitable part when it is moving upward. So this is, I think, the attractive part for those who like to buy the dip, but they don't have enough in the wallet to buy the amount that they want. So this is the idea. So this is for the XETH part, I would say, the leverage part. And for the FETH part, to me, it's more like you would like to have some exposure to the it's kind of like the low volatility ETF. So it's kind of like you are betting on the good part of the market, but at the same time you maybe you don't want to withstand a lot of volatility, so you just want some low beta exposure, but you don't want to completely shorting the market by holding the stablecoin. So it's kind of like this play in order to kind of at least get some exposure to the market, but not too much, while you can still earn some use that is from the staking part in order to kind of taking advantage of the yield to compensate your cost of holding the position compared to other ways of doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting. I think like for us, with the core team that both of them are, I mean, they're financial primitives. In fact, we were talking about that yesterday on our community call. We were like, is XETH a DeFi primitive? And we were like, yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, this is a very novel product. Sort of solving that no cost leveraged position on ETH. Yeah, I always sort of look at like FETH as sort of like, it's very similar to in terms of like the only other sort of analog I can come up with to it is kind of like FPI, Frax's FPI, where it's stable, but you get some of that exposure to with FPI. It's the CPI index, and so it's kind of always fluctuating with that. But FETH is always tied to the Ethereum economy. I'm curious now, with FX, the pain point that FX was really trying to solve was the separation from centralized stablecoins. And I'm curious for you how your perspective on centralized stablecoins has sort of changed over, say, like the last 6 months. Are you concerned about that? What are your thoughts on that, DeFi Cheetah?
To be honest, I think it needs to have some changes if we would like to have the current landscape being able to scale up like 10x or 100x from now. Because just imagine how horrible it could be if the whole crypto economy is denominated mostly by centralized stablecoin, which are being custodied in certain banks, which could be failed for some unknown reason because they are in a black box, and they could have some accounting standards which could they simply play around without being fully transparent. So in that sense, I think with the USDC FUD, I think people start paying attention to this issue, and even doubt if it could be a huge threat to DeFi if DeFi is denominated largely on based on USDT and USDC. So that's why there are a lot of stablecoins that emerge from this stream and trying to solve the issue with different approaches. And FX is a kind of stable coin that is not pegged to the USD but to Ethereum, but in a lower volatility form. So I think this could be an interesting idea to explore, because somehow there could be some other form of currency that could exist with this kind of theme, especially when people when they I think it's a bit paradoxical, but I think it takes time to have a paradigm shift. What I mean is that because the original idea of having Bitcoin is that because the monetary policy is controlled by the Fed, and the Fed could do whatever it wants in order to protect its economy, including printing money indefinitely. So this is the real reason for the existence of Bitcoin. If we are only having one type of stablecoin that is pegged to USD, that means we have not really solved the issue, but we are simply moving the issue to the on-chain route, and then I think is the kind of the dominant of the USD type stablecoin is because of the fact that we are used to this kind of USD oriented economy. But I think as time progresses, there could be other forms of stablecoin that would be more independent of USD, especially with the kind of like suppressive regulatory actions against some kind of crypto projects.
Yeah, that's interesting that you kind of bring up sort of the Fed and monetary policy. You know, when we peg our stable coins to $1, we are not explicitly but implicitly, you know, kind of indirectly sort of pegging to the monetary policies of the United States federal government, the Fed, the U.S. Treasury. So you have to sort of rely on you know, sort of the old school to you know, to basically be a part of DeFi. You're sort of welcoming them in, and it's interesting. You know, in Liquidity, we had Liquidity on in a Spaces a couple weeks ago with Robert Lauko, and I actually brought up the Genesis block of Bitcoin. You know, January 3rd, 2009, the Genesis block. It includes the message, "Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks, the Times." And you know, the question then goes is, you know, basically DeFi was sort of like on the brink of like sort of like, oh my God, what's going to happen, you know, on March 13th. But you know, it's kind of one of those deals like, how did we sort of let the fox into the hen house, you know, with all the banks and whatnot. And I'm curious now, you know, you see a lot of with Maker bringing on real world assets. I think Frax is bringing on some T-bill yields with V3, and I'm not sure. I'll be quite honest, I don't know the design of those protocols. You might know them a little bit better than me, DeFi Cheetah, and can speak to them. But do you foresee that are we as an industry, are we like addicted to the U.S. dollar? Are we addicted to sort of like the banking system? How do we sort of like wean ourselves off of this? I'm curious to get your thoughts on that. Are we going to make more mistakes in the future the same way, or are we going to continually improve to separate ourselves? DeFi Cheetah, are you there, sir? Might be muted.
Hello.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I think regarding this issue, I think it's a matter of time for people to get used to the industry and then to have confidence in BTC and Ethereum as a kind of asset with growing values over time. I think it's kind of consensus that takes time to be consolidated. Before this, I think USD stablecoin would still be in a very dominant position, especially with regard to the fact that these days the treasury yield is very attractive to especially institutions who long perceive the U.S. Treasury bills as a risk-free rate. But as time lapses, when they understand the what is meant by holding Ethereum and the staking reward from Ethereum, I think they would have different kind of perception of this kind of asset. and they will readjust and reconfigure their portfolio. I think when that time comes, there will be a lot more capital inflow in the LSD LSD sector, and also a lot more capital inflow regarding the Ethereum. And I think this is the kind of dominant play for people who have the long-term conviction of Ethereum, because at the end of the day, what we can do is to improve our kind of understanding in the industry. And if we kind of having, because we are not those aircraft carriers like those big whales. We are just small boats. We have the flexibility to be early enough to kind of, in that sense, front running the whales in that regard. And whales later on will also discover this, and because they need to kind of having some policy adjustment and different kind of stuff to be ongoing, and they may also, some of them may also need to kind of pay attention to the regulatory issues, something like that. So after these kind of stuff start realizing and the industry becomes more mature, and we step into another phase where mass adoption is coming, this kind of Ethereum backed stablecoin packed to Ethereum, or some more blue chip crypto asset will be having a stronger presence. I think an FX in this regard could be a project to look at, because it is the first in the kind. So I think, yeah, this is something that for those who may want to pay attention to this project, this is something that you may want to know. Yeah.
Yeah, I think everybody on the Aladdin team would absolutely agree with everything that you said there, especially in regards to the having the reserve assets backed by LSD, and in this case Steth. And one of the reasons that we went with Steth was it's basically, well, for a couple of reasons. It's basically its incentivized liquidity on chain is extremely deep. I don't think there's an LSD that's even close to the depth of liquidity that Steth has, and additionally, one of the other issues, or one of the other things that we thought about was, Steth is basically an existential issue for Ethereum, and so with other LSDs, they can they're great as well, like Rocket Pool ETH and Frax ETH, but in terms of like the pervasiveness of Steth, like sort of Ethereum's success sort of rides on Lido's success, and so it was sort of a no-brainer to go with that one. It seemed like sort of the safest asset to go with, even though it's kind of sort of the most dangerous as well. But as far as the system goes, utilizing LSDs, because of the inherent native yield that you get out of them, it's a complete game changer. And so, do you see LSDs being utilized almost exclusively through DeFi, like in the future? Is sort of this taking on of real world assets? Do you view that as almost like a sort of a transitory thing, or will there be like a blend in the future? I'm kind of curious to what your thoughts are.
I think that could be a blend, but I think it depends pretty much on the monetary policy in that regard, because at the end of the day, USD has its value and its well-established consensus so far to be the international currency. So, for example, if the monetary policy become super hawkish, no matter I'm saying this assuming there is no economic consequence. Oh, let's say Fed is now trying to pump the Fed rate to 10%. It is so dominant that you can't really do anything, because at the end of the day, people will be we'll be finding this super attractive, and we just move the capital in that regard. But my take is that it won't last for too long, especially my macro judgment, my macroeconomic judgment, or my experience in the macroeconomic knowledge kind of compels me to the conclusion that the recession is coming. And I think in Q4 or Q1 next year, I think there could be very big pressure for the Fed to adopt some kind of more dovish approach to adjust down the interest rate a little bit. So in that case, that means the cost of capital becomes lower, and it would be more favorable to people who, again, chase back the LSD yields and the Ethereum yields, and not to mention because the yields are denominated in Ethereum, so it also benefits from the Ethereum increment, and not to mention some stuff that I would like to highlight. First, the EIP 1559 already have an annual burn rate about 180 K per year. So
in
this
terms
is
of
the
ETH,
EIP 1559. Yeah. They have the annual burn rate like this one, 180 K. And now Justin Drake from the Ethereum Foundation proposed another continuation of EIP 1559 called MVB burn. So it is kind of like to burn those positive MDV. So the background is like this. So basically what we are currently doing is so when the Ethereum blockchain is very congested, those who have priority fee to be included in the block in the next block will go to this kind of priority fee will go to the validator, and this fee will be burned. Later on, whoever is kind of like the contention fee, like for each block, whenever the searcher and block builder have the incentive to bid the validators and to include its kind of bundles to be the first in the next block, there would be some fees goes to the validators. And the assumption is the block later on would be the block proposal after the proposal builder separation. And in that regard, with the MVU burn, so they will kind of have the system that will see how much fees go to the validator in that regard, and this amount of fees for each block will also be burned. So what that means is that with the very rough calculation from the Ethereum Foundation, about 250K will be burned based on that, but it is only calculated based on the bear market.
Is that total per year? Total 250,000
per year.
Wow.
Per year.
Okay.
Yeah, and this percentage is not does not counter the fact that there would be more MEV burned during the bull market, because when there are a lot of different trades, the MEV would be much higher, and the block builders would pay a lot higher, lot more ETH to be in the first in each block. So in that sense, more ETH will be burnt. So it is just a very humble estimation based on the Ethereum Foundation's data. And also, apart from that, because of the reduction of the rate, I mean the staking reward. So what that means is that those who would like to stake the ETH, or those who like to be the validator to get the yield, this amount of people will be smaller. Less people will be willing to do so. So that means there would be less block reward to be emitted, and the inflation based on this part will also be relieved. For this, the calculation is like about also another 200K will be saved per year. So currently, it is the deflation rate is kind of like 180K per year. Later on with MU burn, it will be 250K, kind of humble estimation, plus the 200K that would be saved from the block reward. So the deflation rate would be kind of like triple, at least, with regard to the current stats. So when compared to the inflation USD status, you now hold the Ethereum and you get this kind of deflation, and also you get the yield. So it is a kind of a lot more attractive asset, I would say. So yeah, so that's why I'm quite bullish for Ethereum denominated assets.
Man, you got me convinced. I think I might buy some ETH now. That's pretty awesome, man. I had no idea that the deflation rate was that much, and that MEV burn was going to burn that much additional. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm going to pause here for just a moment, just see if there's any questions from anyone else, Crypto Prophet or Charlene or anyone else. If you have a question, please feel free to ask it, or raise your hand so that we can bring you up on stage if you do have a question. We just want to make sure that everybody has a chance to take advantage of this space and make sure they're heard. So with that, I will ask you now, sort of like, we've talked a little about sort of the stablecoin space and sort of Ethereum-backed assets. I'm kind of curious, just in general, like pain points in DeFi. What like jumps out at you? I mean, you've been sort of like firsthand viewing this sort of like the curve CRV meltdown last week and whatnot. I'm kind of curious, like now, like if you've seen like things that we as an industry have to do to sort of like grow to the next step. That's like, just like, guys, we've got to get our act together here in this regard, or one way or the other, or we definitely need this solution. I'm kind of curious what sort of jumps out at you now.
Sure. I think TLDR for the past 10 or 20 minutes would be that Ethereum denominated asset would be kind of a big play with regard to the forthcoming pumping deflation rate of Ethereum with Ethereum assets. So this is the kind of stuff, and I think FX being the first in its kind, I think this is something that if those who are not very sure about the thesis, I can give you one. So apart from that, in terms of the implication from the curve incident, I would say a few things. I think first, it kind of we reckon that could be a cause of decentralization, that could be efficiency. But from this incident, I think it gives us it sheds some light on other costs that may need to bear if we need to be decentralized enough. For instance, the incident, I think, is largely because of the fact that based on two factors. First, I think the very important part would be where Viper exploit took place. I think originally the team swiftly discovered the issue, but the point is that because each pool is the smart contract is decentralized, and you really cannot do anything to shut it down or whatever. So what they can do is to kind of to be fast enough and kind of do something before the hackers discover this kind of error. But then the hackers were faster in that manner. So yeah, the loss happened. And the second issue would be also related to decentralization is that because the smart contract is the curve pool smart contract are not upgradable, so this causes a lot of like multiple versions of smart contracts for those liquidity pools. I mean the Viper versions.
Yeah.
So that causes some to be obsolete. And the issue for this would be because a lot of those LPs they find it very troublesome, and it takes them some cost to shift the liquidity from one pool to another. So this kind of it is also because of decentralization. So they only can what they can do is to abide by the LP's willingness to do so, and they can't really push them to move to another LP pool. So I think this is something that lead to the 70 million something rug. But although luckily most like 50 something mil have been recovered, but still there's some loss. But yeah, I think this is the first thing. And the second thing I think would be quite important would be the security issue. Like in that incident is the Viper language and the compiler that is in trouble. But what if it is Solidity next time?
Yeah.
If it is Solidity next time, it could be really chaotic for the whole market, because more than 90% of the projects are built on Solidity. And if Solidity really sucks, I think it would be disastrous for the whole industry. And it's high time the industry and every one of us may need to think about the worst case scenario, what could be done, and is there any need for other measures, like as I said, some emergency button to be able to stop this kind of stuff, or any need for the insurance protocol to able to bail out users' loss, whatever. Yeah. So this is something that I'm in mind.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I think that's definitely a huge pain point. Is sort of like you're a TradFi guy, I'm an engineering guy. Neither of us, I believe, are computer science experts. And so when you go and invest in these products, you sort of take on the notion of like, okay, well, they've done their audits, they've got open source code, and so you're like, well, I guess I'll just take my risk. I mean, that's just sort of what we're here in DeFi doing, and we understand that. But I don't think anyone expects sort of like I don't even think Curve expected sort of like compiler issues in Viper. That was pretty wild. But one of the things that I've seen that looks actually like pretty promising is the implementation of basically a circuit breaker, where once and the Ethereum Foundation is actually doing research into this right now with a standard called ERC 7265, and I'll post a link to it after the Twitter space here. And ERC 7265 is basically it's a sort of a conversation they're having right now of implementing a circuit breaker where you can have customizable thresholds, and once those thresholds are passed, you're able to pause the outflow of tokens from a smart contract. And so it's very much sort of in the developmental stages, but things like this will be absolutely massive in terms of preventing things like a bridge hack, or what happened to Euler earlier this year, or and you know, it seems like it's happening more frequently, and maybe not as like at a very large scale, but enough to where we definitely need to have like some sort of guardrails in place to where, you know, once you started to have like a large amount of tokens that you can sort of mitigate that. You can sort of mitigate that somehow. So be interesting to see sort of how this conversation goes, how it's implemented, how it will be. You know, it may very well be just Solidity, and they'll have to like somehow come up with a Viper version. But I'm almost positive that these things are being worked on in the background now immediately. So with that, I tell you what, I'll just kind of like open it up for questions from the audience. If anybody wants to speak, please request and we'll bring you up.
Yep. Meanwhile, I think.
Yeah, Crypto Profit, come on up, man. Just a
Yeah, hi. Hey guys, can you hear me?
yeah.
I think so, yeah. Yeah, sorry, I had a little bit of audio difficulties. I think DeFi Cheetah said two really interesting things that I really agree with. And I think the first one was that actually everything is kind of a derivative of the USD market, as even our entire market here, as long as we don't have like another way as like to base layer value. And because of this, FX protocol is super, super interesting and maybe even transformative for how humanity thinks about finance in the really long term. But that's maybe a bit of a huge statement. And the second thing was, I really liked how he talked about fundamental analysis in the very beginning of the space. And I wanted to ask actually, could you maybe tell us a bit more about your personal investment framework? Like, how do you approach it now?
I think it depends. Like there could be let me put it this way. I think what you are referring to is kind of like portfolio construction or something like that. I think it depends on your risk profiles, but I think for normal people with normal risk appetite, although I think all of us in here will be those with a higher risk profile than those who are simply buying and holding treasury bonds in the bank. I think this is something that makes us join the industry. I think it's kind of like first is about the I would say it is kind of splitting your capital into different names that you are bullish on. I think when you're talking about whether you are bullish on a theme, I think what you need to do is to look at its fundamentals, including its product pipeline, and also whether it is really solving the pain points of the industry, and how much relevance the solutions that the team proposes to the pain point that they are going to solve, and also whether the team is really keep making effort, putting effort to make out sensible products that are innovative and make sense to you, and also things like that. I think this is the fundamental part. For traditional finance part, there would be much more about the valuation. Valuation could also be relevant here, but not as much as in the traditional finance, because I think that the industry is still early, and of course if you can discover names with huge traction but the valuation is still low, then that means the is kind of like skilled reward play that you would love to have. But other than that, I think this is the thing that you may want to take reference from. And I'm thinking about what I'm missing, but basically I think we need to consider ourselves or to be like a VC, and because every project in this industry is still very early, I think so we need to really assess the team's quality. I think this is very, very important, because at the end of the day, it is the perseverance and the grit of the team that drives the project. And if the team has some issues of integrity stuff and whatever, I think no matter how good they claim their product to be, I think it's a matter of whether you trust the team. Although it is the crypto industry is meant to be trustless, but at least you need to trust the team behind to develop the products that they are going to do. So I think a team with a good builders mindset. I think like Allen Dow, they have a very good community, and they kind of having a very good builder mindset, and people gather together to make something. This is something that I like as against some protocols who are very centralized and they run like a company with a lot of labor force, like they hire hundreds of people to do a project, but you can see the bureaucracy start develop even for some blue chip projects. So this is something that I really don't think they have enough flexibility to adapt to changes, especially in this rigorously competitive industry. So yeah, this is something that I pay attention to. So yeah, and yeah, so this is something that I can deliver so far. Let me know if you want to know more in depth, and I try to formulate this a little bit.
Yeah, sorry, it was like a wide question also. No, I largely agree. Personally, I would maybe add my own vision to it, and it's like for me personally, I just want to find like one or two coins that are gonna survive the next two cycles, and then I can like, how do you say it, seed stage accumulate it kind of, and just chill out. And I'm pretty sure there's way more upside in like short-term price rallies and trading those. But if you can just find like the teams that you're certain on that even if you don't go to the PC for 1 month, they will continue building the product, then you're probably good if you find one that survives. So for me, it's also kind of that's like my fundamental approach. I just find something that lasts, and then I like don't worry about it too much, basically. And that's like nice life balance, crypto balance for me. So I was kind of like wondering about that, but I think you kind of answered it, to be honest. So thanks.
Yeah, I think one metric to be looked at would be, especially for blue chip projects. I think you can see what makes sense to you, and it's also very important to develop a habit to exchange ideas with some chats in this industry, because different people have different opinion. I think your decision will be more well informed only if you get the ideas from others, and you have a judgment based on more multifaceted sources of information in order to kind of make yourself to, because some will be smarter than some will be more smarter than you, not needless to say. So you can kind of leverage others' wisdom to see if it really also improve your perspective of thinking in this industry, and then you can kind of evolve with the industry from time to time to assess or to review your portfolio and adjust the ratings of different names, something like that. So this is something that you need to do continuously, and it is tired and it is tiring, and it could be quite takes you a lot of energy, but I think it's worth it if you are really having passion for it. So yeah.
All right. Are there any other questions from anyone in the audience? We've got a couple minutes here left. We want to be respectful of everyone's time, but if anybody else has any other questions, wanting to talk about pain points in DeFi and all things involving FX protocol, please let us know. And if not, then we will go ahead and start wrapping this up. DeFi Cheetah, man, it was awesome having you on today, sir. Really appreciate you being flexible with your schedule to accommodate us. Nobody likes it when anything happens to Curve, and so we're glad that you were able to sort of move things around to this week and talk with us about the launch of FX Protocol. Everyone, if you are curious, you can go and visit the website. It's in the link for the host of the Twitter space here, FX Protocol. So don't go FX Protocol. So don't go clicking on any other links, but that's the official one through Aladdin DAO. It's currently in mainnet beta. You can mint FETH, which is our stable coin, or you can mint XETH and be a degen. So I recommend both. They both have their role in DeFi, and we're trying to solve a problem here by getting away from centralized stablecoins. So get in there, check it out. We're going to be launching liquidity here in the near future on Curve as well, some CRV USD pool and a Frax base pool. So be on the lookout for those as well. Every week, Wednesday, 2 p.m. UTC, you can go and check out our community calls where we will give you all sorts of good info on FX Protocol, Clever, Concentrator, Aladdin. This past week, you got some really good info on growing your own garden and fighting off hornets. So we talk about everything. So please join us when you can, guys. Love speaking with everybody today. Come jump on the Discord. Pauls, man, you're welcome to sign us out whenever you get a chance, man. But appreciate everybody jumping on today.
Yeah. Cheers, guys. Thanks for joining us.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for your time.